Does your RV fridge have good enough insulation properties to keep your food cold until you arrive at your destination? RV manufacturers are starting to put 12-volt fridges in at the factory, but the majority of RVs on the road are still absorption fridges like the one that I have. And if you want to power the fridge while you're driving, you're going to need to turn on your propane. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I powered on the fridge and freezer, loaded them up with cold and frozen food, and everything took about 18 hours to get to its normal operating temperature. Your fridge will get down to operating temperature much quicker and will remain at operating temperature much longer if you load it full of food, because that food provides thermal mass. So the more you pack in there, the better results you're going to get. To get the most accurate results for our test today, I'm going to do everything I would normally do as if we were driving to a campground. The thermostat is off, the slide is closed, the lights are off, roof vents closed, and the curtains are down. We're going to run the test today for 5 hours. Most people are following the rule of driving no more than 300 miles per day. It's also worth noting that my fridge is 6 cubic feet. If you have a different size fridge, you may get different results. I'll be using the Accurite Bluetooth temperature monitor, so I don't have to open the fridge and freezer doors to take readings. And I'm even monitoring the readings remotely, so I don't have to open the RV door. I'm actually going to auction off this exact temperature sensor. Every single penny is going to a children's charity. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, so please stick around for that. Now, if you do stop for lunch and open your fridge or freezer doors, that is going to affect your readings. It's also going to affect how long it takes you to get to the campground. I'm going to take readings every 30 minutes. Now, I don't have a 5-hour trip to take, so the RV will be parked for this test. However, the fridge is on the side of the RV that will be facing the sun, and with no airflow, I would imagine, if anything, our results are going to be on the warmer side of what they'd be if we were actually driving. Everything in here is as it would be if we were driving to a campground, so I'll see you guys in 5 hours. Okay, I got the results here on my iPad. I want to go over the interior and the outside temperature first before we get into the freezer and the fridge. We started the test at 12 o'clock. We ended it at 5 p.m. The inside temperature was 87 degrees when we started. It rose all the way up to 95 degrees by 3:30 and then only dropped 1 degree by the end of the test. So it was definitely hotter inside the RV. The outside temperature was 78 degrees, 79, then 81, 81 again, 82, and then all the way up to 85 degrees at 3:30. Then by the end of the test, it only dropped back down to 83 degrees. Now, before we jump over to the fridge results, I would like to thank today's video sponsor, RVmattress.com, who is also a division of Brooklyn Bedding. RVmattress.com has a nice selection of different options, and what's really nice is they have all the oddball sizes you won't find in all the residential stores. You'll find the RV bunk, 3 different RV king sizes, and the short queen. Their website will point you to the right mattress based on how you sleep. Shipping is free, they come with a 10-year warranty, and they have a factory right here in Arizona. If you don't like your mattress, you can return it or exchange it for a different model within 120 days. And honestly, guys, we loved the mattress so much, we actually got one for our home. Visit rvmattress.com/RV tips. I'll put a link down in the video description and in the comments. Use the code RVTIPS at checkout to get 25% off your new mattress. Now over to the freezer. The freezer, we were able to get it down to 3.5 degrees, which is slightly less than the temperature I have my freezer set at inside my house. It rose up to 4.2 degrees by 12:30, and then a pretty big jump up to 7 degrees by 1, then 2.5 degrees to 9.5 at 1:30, and then again 2 more degrees to 11.6 by 2. As you see, the freezer temperature did rise pretty consistently throughout the rest of the test, all the way up to 20.1 degrees by 5 o'clock. Even though we did see a pretty good rise in the freezer temperature, it's still way below 32 degrees, which is freezing. It's also going to take time for frozen foods to defrost, even if they are exposed to warmer temperatures. So I think with the freezer test, you're okay at least for 5 hours and using the conditions that we saw in this test today. All right, let's move over to the fridge. I know this is what everybody's waiting for, and we have some things to talk about here. Our fridge temp started at 32 degrees. It went up less than 1 degree in the first half hour. However, after that, it went up a whole 3 degrees, then almost 2 degrees, and consistently went up about 1 to 2 degrees per half hour for the rest of the test, and we finally ended at 48.6 degrees by 5 o'clock. The overall temperature change for the fridge was 16.6 degrees, which was the same overall temperature we saw at the freezer. Now I want to take a look at the 2 o'clock spot when the temperature inside the fridge hit 39.8 degrees. The USDA says that meat, poultry, and fish should be stored around the mid 30 degree temperature range, but should not be exposed to temperatures of 40 degrees or higher for more than 2 hours. So essentially at 2 o'clock, we have have 2 hours before we need to get that food under 40 degrees and maintain that temperature. Now, realistically, is your food going to spoil if it's left out for more than 2 hours above 40 degrees? I can probably say that most of us have left food out above 40 degrees for longer than 2 hours, you know, maybe at a picnic or something, and then put it back in our fridge and ate it the next day. This is ultimately a decision you're gonna need to make. All I can do is tell you what the USDA recommends. So this leads to the question, how long will it take for the fridge to get back down to a sub 40 degree temperature? First, it's going to depend on how high you start. It's not gonna take as long if you start at 45 degrees as if you were to start at 49 degrees. I would confidently say it's not going to happen quickly. So in the end, based on all the variables that I saw in this test, you're not gonna get more than 2 hours out of your fridge before you go above that 40 degree temperature mark. The freezer seemed to hold its temperature long enough for a 5-hour trip. The fridge, however, did not. Again, based on what the USDA is saying. So what is the solution to keep your food cold? There's a couple actually. First, you can run with the propane on. Again, not getting into that debate today. You can think about installing an inverter so you can power the fridge on AC power while driving, and if money isn't an issue, you can even install a 12-volt fridge. It's not the cheapest option, but I know a few people who have already done it. You also have the option of storing food in one of those fancy high-end coolers while you're traveling. Another option is to load up, and I mean load up on freezer packs like these. I used a few of these in the test today, but using a bunch more of these will definitely help hold the temperature longer. And of course, you can always just buy your groceries when you get to your destination. I'm interested to learn. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys are doing to keep your food cold while you're traveling. Now, would we have gotten different results if we were actually driving the RV? Perhaps the outside airflow would have cooled down the interior, which would have slowed the rate at which the refrigerator warmed up. It's hard to say. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but even if it did help a little bit, we're up north here in Pennsylvania. I know a lot of you guys are driving down south. It's a lot hotter down there, and you're gonna see temperatures higher than the 85-degree high that we saw today. There's just so many different variables involved, but I think a lot of people are gonna get similar results to what we saw today. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we're going to talk about auctioning off this temp sensor that I used. But first, I want to thank my good friend Josh, the RV nerd, for supplying some factory footage for this video. So I've used this temperature sensor for 2 videos now. Instead of just putting it in a box and storing it in the garage, I want to auction it off to charity. So I'm going to put a link down below in the video description and in the comment to the eBay auction. Every penny this thing sells for is going to go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I will match the highest bid up to $50 and donate that as well. As always, links are down below. Thanks again for watching, and happy bidding.